Hello and welcome to On the Other Hoof. We have a fantastic card of racing ahead tomorrow from Newbury and Ayr on Channel 4, which is what we're going to be covering. We may touch on Listowel because we had a couple of people asking about that actually, which fair enough if that's what you want to see. But I'm joined tonight by Callum Middell and Adam Webb. Callum, you looked especially annoyed about Listowel there.
I didn't even know Listowel was on. Why are we going to be talking about Listowel?
It's the Harvest Festival, my friend.
Oh, is it? Yeah, my mistake. Sorry, guys.
Where have you been? The last 5 days and at the races has been riveting. Like, it's been awesome.
Where was that
Actually,
Kerry
they did have a couple.
preview?
They had a couple of good fun races in the day.
The Kerry National, yeah. That's
Where was that
all
preview
right.
of that? Oh.
Well, we were meant to, but internet's failed and stuff.
Yeah. Because none of us would have got the winner because it was a reserve that actually won the race. So yeah, it'd have been a bit pointless. So.
Yeah, it's been a little bit pointless. Before we go on, I have a query about my naps, and I've already put this to Adam, but I haven't put it to Callum yet. Now, in the last 3 weeks, I've had B52 that won, then Agent Murphy placed, and I put it up each way, and then Marmalady last week. Now, they've technically kind of all won, but I'm wondering, is it 2.5 or three consecutive naps?
Did you put up Agent Murphy each way?
Yeah.
Definitely said each way. Well, then surely it's 3 naps,
Right.
isn't it? Really?
Oh. I don't know.
Because if you're backing Agent Murphy each way, say it's 16-1, I'd say better nap than having a 6-4 evens winner, isn't it? So
Yeah, that's fair enough.
yeah.
Or
Okay.
if you might call 1-6.
So what we're saying is Luke Elder has got the first ever hat-trick of naps on the other hoof.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
I enjoy the supportive nature of ourselves. Well done. Right, now you got to go for 4. Now you're going to be the first person to go for 4.
Yeah, I'd only count it if you got one this week. So get your 1 to 5 favourite out or something like that.
No, in fairness, I've got that. Like, my nap this week is bomb-proof.
Okay.
You're losing. Well, we've got an exciting day of racing. And we're starting off with the most exciting race of the day, the Arc Trial. It's not an Arc Trial at all. It's an Arc Trial in name only, but it's run over a mile 3 and 5 yards. It's apparently a Group 3. The horses in it are unspectacular, I'd say. Callum disagrees somewhat. Grandeur and Nautilus are non-runners, unfortunately, which leaves us with a field of 7, headed by Hillstar and Tassaday. Callum, you've got a few worries about Tassaday, haven't you?
Yeah, I've got worries about both of them, to be honest. Tassaday, I think she's possible. I think she's definitely the best horse in the race, to be honest, considering Hillstar isn't the horse that he was last year and has had a row of seconds when he's had the chance to win at least 2 of those races. I mean, it's not the most. The list of winners of this race isn't particularly special for an Arc Trial. It includes Camborne, Black Spirit, Green Destiny, Dangerous Midge, albeit he did win at the Breeders' Cup, to be fair. But yeah, it won't take a special horse to win this, and I think Glorious Protector's the improving horse in this field, and I think he can have the front 2 covered in this. I know that the listed race he won at Windsor last time out was not very strong at all. I mean, Pinzolo's come out, not really done particularly well since last week, and it really didn't take much winning, to be honest. It probably didn't even take that much more than what he was rated in the first place. He's rated 98 coming to this. He's now rated 105. He would need a few more pounds to be racing with Tassaday and Hillstar, but I think he's got it in him. Tassaday, I think the trip is just a slight worry for me. She didn't particularly seem to stay 11 furlongs or 12 furlongs that well, but she certainly looked a non-stayer in the Yorkshire Oaks. So I'd be worried again about 11 furlongs. And Hillstar, like I've mentioned, I couldn't really have. So yeah, we'll go for Glorious Protector. Should be fine on the ground as well. So he ticks a lot of boxes and he's the improving type.
Was it you, Callum, that was a fan of Dr. Fremantle as well, along with me?
Can't remember.
No. I said Dr. Fremantle won this race. It was one of the races that actually did win. There was so many it should have. Like it's just not. It shouldn't be a Group 3. This. It annoys me. Adam, your fancy. Well, you've got a strong fancy for this, actually, haven't you?
Yeah, it's the same as Callum, but Glorious Protector. I can make a few more points that Callum didn't make. One of them was that he was gelded actually over the winter, and since then he's just matured and improved. and I think he can improve this year and then go on to next season as well. They've already got lofty plans about going to Australia with him, and I wouldn't put them off. The slight concern I did have was the ground, and then it's rained. And since when the rain came last night, I then thought, right, he's my nap of the day as well. So it was starting early on Channel 4 with the nap. I think he's your likely winner. Tassa Day for me. She, as Callum said, is the best horse in the race, but you've got doubts about her staying, although she will like the ground and Hill Star. Oh my word! If you'd have told me his season was gonna go as it would, I wouldn't have believed it at the start of the year. And it's just quite disappointing that it's gone this way. He's also got entries in Melbourne, but I don't think he'd be the type that would actually appreciate going down there, if I'm quite honest. But I think Glorious Protector will when the time comes, and tomorrow he's my likely winner.
Yeah, I'm with Glorious Protector as well in this. I can't add literally anything else that you guys have said into it, just that he's been rapidly improving this season, and I'd be disappointed if he was out of the frame tomorrow, which of course is only the first two in this particular race after the 2 non-runners. I just wanted to add about Hillstar that it's run last time at Haydock. He doesn't look like a horse is really not enjoying the game, but he just doesn't want to win. He doesn't want to go past the final horse. He should have gone past, was it Amrala out in front? Now,
given a great ride.
And even so, he should be miles better than Amrala. He probably is better than Amrala. Like, no matter if he got a good ride, if Amrala got a good ride or not, it should be a matter that Hillstar just goes straight past and wins comfortably. But he just doesn't look to want it anymore, and that's a huge worry for me, especially in a race like this. Like, it's not the strongest Group 3, but there are still useful horses in it. And I'm just really, really worried about Hillstar's sort of mentality going into the race. But Glorious Protector, I think, should take a lot of beating. And that's pretty much all that you can say on the race. The second that we're going to be covering, we're going to be going up to Ayr now for their 205, the William Hill Firth of Clyde Stakes, the Fillies Group 3, over 6 furlongs. And this is a very competitive race. I'd say it's very, very competitive. It's really hard to pick the winner. Have you got any sort of idea, Adam?
It's a race that I took one look at and I just thought, it's not a race that got me particularly excited. I mean, the obvious form selections of Ipe, who was 5th last time out in one of the strangest 2-year-old races I think I've ever seen, in which I backed Cossai Glory, I thought I'd won, I was at Donny, I looked away thinking, yes, he's 3 lengths clear, he's won, I looked back up and there's George Baker on the turf. I think the step up to 6 furlongs will help her, and I think she is the rightful favourite, and she's got the best form in the race. So, and then you look down the list, I mean, some of these have been running in nurseries, obviously been running nurseries. One at a bigger price, I'd give Parsley another go as well. I mean, she's been running well of late. I have an Ipe down as your likely winner, and Parsley, who was 3rd to Bronze Maquette last time out, I think could run into a place.
Yeah, Parsley seems one of the horses that's going to be hard to win with, especially at this kind of level. For me, I completely agree on Ipe. This is a much weaker race than she ran in last week, wasn't it? That was a strong race behind, well, it should have been behind Cotai Glory, but it was behind Beacon instead. The step up to 6, I think, will help. She was off the bridle fairly early in the race. 10-3, though, in a race like this, where she's the best horse in the race, clearly, but there's, 17, 16 others that are willing to, no, 14 others that are willing to get in her way and sort of could lose race for her. I'm not sure I'd be taking that price overly about her on this occasion. One that I like is very infrequent in her form is Prize Exhibit. I'm quite a fan of her as well. Softer ground in York anyway should help. If it's too fast, then it should be pulled out. But she is a bit of a nutcase, so with a health warning. But Ipe really should be winning this if she puts her best foot forward, which there's no reason to suggest why she shouldn't be doing that. Callum, you sweet on Ipe as well?
I think she deserves to be favourite because it does look a particularly modest race, but she has a lot of speed in Ipe, and I think she found her level last time out when 5th in the Flying Shield. It should have been 6th, obviously, with Cotai Glory doing what he did late on. She didn't necessarily look like 6 furlongs. Really, she really wanted 6 furlongs, but I think she'll get it. Prize Exhibit, I would have been all over if it was softer ground, like you said, Luke. I just think she's a filly who hasn't shown her best because last time at Salisbury she ran on very fast ground. When she ran at Newmarket again in a good race, she was on very fast ground. So I don't think she's shown her best yet. One maybe at a price I thought was a little bit overpriced considering she's actually the highest rated in the field. Is Pastoral Girl for James Given. I think she's still a maiden actually, but she finished second to a sailor who ran well the other on Sunday in the Moyglare at Royal Ascot, not Royal Ascot, just at normal Ascot, and she was a little bit disappointed last time, but I think the ground again was too firm for her. It's fast enough tomorrow, but it just was very fast that day at Salisbury, so you can probably excuse the run, and something might have come up wrong, but she was a little bit forgotten. So I thought 20-1 in a race, well, I think 25-1 in a race where there's not necessarily a really good horse in it. I think it's a price worth taking.
You say Pastoral Girl's the highest rated in the field?
I think so, yeah. 99.
I've got 99, but I've got an Ipe at 105.
Okay, Racing Post hasn't got the rating for an Ipe.
No surprise, I think Park Up really is. Yeah, it just so confused me when you said that. But yeah, it's a race where you really have to tread carefully with what you're backing. One that should be a bit more straightforward is the 220 at Newbury, the Dubai Duty-Free Mill Reef Stakes, which is a Group 2 over 6 furlongs and that elusive 8 yards. Limato's been favourite for this ever since the betting opened. He was available at considerably bigger price. I think 7-2 was when he opened up. But there's a few concerns about the ground now. Callum, I know you're a big fan of Limato, and you've been waiting for him for some time patiently. Is this the perfect opportunity, though?
If he's fit and ready, then I think it's an ideal opportunity. But possibly the ground has gone against him now. I mean, he's unproven on the surface. He's had 2 all-weather wins and a win on pretty fast ground over course and distance. But I think the horse is very, very good. He's a horse I'd have in top 3 of 2-year-olds this year. So if he is as good as I think he is, then I'd have him. He'd be the one to beat in this without any doubt. It's just 6-4 against a horse that potentially might not be fully fit and on ground that he's unproven on. I think it may not necessarily be worth taking on with, but it's certainly not a price I'd want to take. And horses like Jungle Cat, who, again, when he ran on his debut, he didn't like the good to soft ground, so I'd be a little bit worried tomorrow because he's not run on ground this soft since then. So a horse like Strathburn, who is proven on the ground, I think will chase him home, Limato home. Strathburn impressed on debut here when in a really strongly run race at Newbury over 5, and then stepped up despite lack of experience to finish second to Cool Company, which not the strongest form, but I think Strathburn will improve a good deal for it. So Limato and Strathburn are by some way the ones to concentrate on for me. I think Limato, or I hope Limato can win though.
Yeah, I completely agree. Limato really should be winning. The sort of level of form he's posted this year is far superior to the rest in the field. Adam, your fancy for the Mill Reef?
Well, I would have if the rain hadn't come, and a couple of negative vibes from Henry Candy about Limato. I mean, he's been on 2 courses of antibiotics since his last run. I mean, he was going to go for the gym crack, and I think he would have won that pretty easily, if I'm quite honest. But with these little doubts and the rain as well, I'm actually going to go with Strathburn, who won first time out in the maiden at Newbury. And that maiden I remember pretty well, because I remember Profitable running all over the track that day. And the winner was very impressive that day. He then went to France and was second to Cool Company. And I'll be honest, I'm not really a fan of Cool Company. But when you consider the ground tomorrow, and you know that Strathburn's going to go in it, and you've got doubts about Limato, I'd rather be taking 7-2 about Strathburn, who was, incidentally, I think he was about 8-1 earlier, so he's been back. So I think Strathburn would be the one for me, with concerns about Limato on the ground, Jungle Cat on the ground, and also Bayford Alga as well. Bayford Alga's not racing soft ground either, so it'd be Strathburn for me.
I completely agree. I agree with that. That's still them sentiments anyway. Mutaga is an on-runner that we haven't actually mentioned. Kibar is still in, however, so you'd imagine Paul Hannigan will switch over to Kibar and take the ride from Dane O'Neill. I completely agree with Callum on Limato. I think Limato is probably my biggest idea of a winner, or best idea of a winner anyway. The rest I'm not 100% sure about. I like Strathburn for sure, but I was a big fan of Growl until he really disappointed in the Acomb at York. Now, I couldn't explain that run whatsoever. The softer ground, he seems to sort of get outpaced. The softer ground will help slow the others down. Whether he will really go on it, I'm not 100% sure, but it tongue-tied first time, so maybe there was a problem with, well, you'd imagine anyway, there was a problem with the breathing that day at York, and he didn't really go through his race properly. So 14-1 about Growl. I still held him in really high regard. I know Adam was the same from his day. You saw Desert Force was fourth in that maiden. Actually won today at Newbury, obviously in a much weaker race than this. But if Growl confirms any of that promise from his maiden run, I can see him going quite close. He's not from a really fashionable trainer, well, especially of 2-year-olds anyway. Brian Meehan, sorry. I'm having real problems talking tonight. But I'll give Growl an each way shout of 14s, but I do think Limato's the best idea of a winner, but a little bit short now for me with a few doubts hanging over him. We move back up to Air now for the 240, the Air Silver Cup over 6 furlongs. The Bronze Cup was run today and heavily favoured the near side. So I assume we're going to be going for sort of the near side horses, Adam?
Yeah. Well, my original fancy for the race was drawn 8. Mission Approved, who I happened to call Mission Accomplished last night, so I don't know where on earth that came from. I will say this though, pace on the far side, if there is pace on that far rail, and we saw that today in the other sprint that happened where, I'm trying to remember the name of the horse now, who came third behind, that's
Red
the one.
Baron.
Red Baron, that's the one. If they can inject pace on that far rail, I think there may not be as much a difference as you think, but but you need pace on the far side anyway, and if they do get that, then I would like Mission Approved. Bogart came back into form last time out, and when I say he bumped into a horse, I mean literally he bumped into one in Muthmere in the Portland last week. I really like him from 25. The only slight concern is whether he actually wants to truly run 6 furlongs. It's the only slight doubt I've got, but because he's drawn high, he's one I quite like, and he looks to be coming back to form. One that's drawn in the middle, he was disappointing in the Portland, but I had him down for a type of race like this, is Compton Park, who looked to be a real improver before the Portland. He disappointed in that, but I'd be willing to give him another go. But the problem is he's drawn in no man's land in the middle, so he has to either get across, or he's just going to be no man's land and he'd have no chance. So the one I'd go for is Bogart. I'm not sure what to say them words.
It's annoying because I'm going to completely agree with you as Bogart. I think
Oh my word!
Yeah, I know. He was the first ever selection that we actually gave on these videos. I think, well, by me.
Yeah,
anyway.
he was. Yeah, he was.
One at York, and that was over 6. So I think it was over 6 anyway. Stamina's not really a doubt for me. There's a bit of money coming in for him tonight. Kevin Ryan horse in these kind of races is always one to be respected, but as Adam says, you really have to take that Muthmere form very seriously. Muthmere, if he ran in this, would be an absolute certainty of really any kind of mark. So
give him a £10 penalty in this, he'd probably bolt up. But, yeah.
I mean, okay, you can't take that form 100% sort of face value, because Muthmere met trouble, almost tripped and fell over coming out the stall. So there were problems for Muthmere, but I'm sure you guys as well hold Muthmere in a really high category of sprinter. But Bogart is down to a mark of 93, which is more than winnable for his standards. The money coming in tonight, I think, is fairly substantial, and in honesty, I think he's probably going to be the best horse in the race, isn't he? But Callum, I really want to know your view on sort of one of On the Other Hoof's horses with Yao.
Yeah, didn't really give him much of a chance there, to be honest. He's a horse that was in form earlier in the season's kind of tailed off and doesn't particularly look like he's going to strike tomorrow.
Have you asked your cat? Or?
Yeah, she's about. She's chasing a fly at the moment round the kitchen. So she hasn't had a chance to look at the Silver Cup yet.
I was doing that just before we came on the video. Actually, it's great fun. You should try it sometime. But your actual fancy, Callum.
There's quite a few I thought had a really solid chance. Bogart, very obvious chance. Really good run in the Portland. It's just my worry is that he hasn't won at 6 furlongs since his 2-year-old days, and he's got a lot of speed. So it's just whether 6 furlongs an undulating track like Air is going to play to his strengths. But he's clearly well handicapped. A horse like Lexington Abbey, I think, will be there or thereabouts. Redfers is one I couldn't really have, and I certainly couldn't have Foxtrot Romeo, and I couldn't have Green Howard either, dropping down in trip. I know he travels well, but it's a massive drop down in trip. The draw, I think you've got to be far side, or at least middle. I think middle, around somewhere from 14 onwards, I think it's actually a really good draw, 14 to 18. I think will be an ideal draw. So Compton Park, who Adam mentioned, is a horse I'm a real big fan of, and you can excuse his run at Ripon where he didn't handle the track. That again is a small worry for me tomorrow because Ayr isn't the most flatters of tracks. So, but it'll suit him a lot more. This race will suit him a lot more than the 5.5 of the Portland, which I think just happened a little bit too quickly for him. But to me earlier in the season he looked like a potential group horse. So he's really progressed, and I think he can run well. The two others I liked, Huntsman Close, who I think's got a very obvious chance, has had a couple of excuses since an eye-catching run at Goodwood. Last time over 7 furlongs, he was a little bit keen and he just ran on when it didn't really matter. Before then, he was second to a horse called Arctic Feeling at Epsom on soft ground, and both of them travelled really well into the race, and they looked like they were progressive sprinters. And him, actually, in Arctic Feeling was the other one I liked. The only thing that really put me off was the draw in 1, because I think, looking at the pace, I think this horse is like, who have we got? Majestic Moon, who is a notable front runner. There's not too many front runners. In Exile probably be up there, but they're all seem to be drawn more on the far side. So I think that'll dampen his chances. So Mission Approved, I think, is probably my main fancy in the race. And sorry, not Mission Approved. Huntsman's Close. Mission Approved.
I was going to say then.
And Compton Park.
Compton Park. Okay. I've completely. Once again, I was doing really well at this, but I completely forgot to mention at the start of the video. We set the account up last week, and thank you to everyone that's followed it. We have a Twitter account at OnTheOtherHoof. You can follow it, get all the updates about our videos. You can get in touch with us if you want, and also you can tweet it with your questions, fancies for Saturday's show. If you got one in midweek, we'll try and remember to answer anyway. But you can tweet it right now, as long as you're watching us live, of course. Any questions, fancies that you may have about tomorrow's racing, about Sunday's racing, about anything in horse racing in particular, and we'll try and answer them at the end of the video. Moving on swiftly, though, back to Newbury in the 2:55 Dubai duty-free handicap over a mile, 2 furlongs and 6 yards, won last year by half a guinea, which I can remember standing in London Victoria Ladbrokes shop sort of cheering on under my breath, because apparently no one's allowed to cheer in betting shops anymore. But it's competitive again. I have the feeling we're all going to sort of give a sort of fancy to the same horse. But Callum, you weren't too keen on the one that we're going to select. So your idea of the winner would be?
Well, I know you're going for first flight, and I can give him an obvious chance because he's looked in need for 10 furlongs for a while. And when he won at Newmarket, he won like quite a smart horse and one that had more to give. But it was last time where he came in travelling well and then just found absolute zilch. It just leaves a bit of a dampening feeling with the horse. I'm not really sure if he's got it in him now, but I'm sure you'll talk more about him. I think it's a cracking handicap. A horse like Air Pilot, who has looked really well handicapped throughout the season, hasn't run for a good 100 days, but comes into a really strong handicap first up. I think that'll be a tough task for him, but he's without doubt will handicap for me if he's ready for it. Roseburg, I think, is one I'll probably go for, who last time ended his winning streak of hat-trick, a winning streak, and then was sixth at Glorious Goodwood, but the ground was too fast for him. If you look at his form, he doesn't handle fast ground, and it was rattling fast that day. So considering he finished sixth, I think it was a really good, commendable effort. Before then, he won quite a strange little race at Haydock, but he absolutely thrashed them off 102. I think he's a future group horse, and I think he can resume his progress tomorrow. But there's a whole host of horses in with a chance. Arab Dawn is a horse I'm a big fan of and ran an eye-catching race the other day, and I'm sure he'll improve for that run. Medid is one that I know will strike soon. It's just whether it's tomorrow. And there's a couple more at the bottom as well that are quite interesting. Regulation and Running Deer is a horse I'm quite a big fan of as well. So, but I think Roseburg tomorrow is probably the one I'll go for. But it's a really good race and one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's the kind of race, even if you sort of back a horse in it and it doesn't win but finishes close up, like I can see a lot of these going in, as you said about Medid, very, very soon, if it's not tomorrow. Arab Dawn is one that I did like from last time. I thought, ironically, he ran a much better race to finish than sort of his finishing position of third really explained. He was beaten, I think, 3.5, 3 3/4 lengths that day, but ran a really likeable race as if he was one that's about to strike. But the one that I fancy, and I think Adam fancies as well, is First Flight, who I say it every single time, but I backed him after he was maiden for the 2,000 guineas of this year, which that did not go well for. Obviously, that means he's a 3-year-old, so he gets a £5 allowance here, which effectively he runs off a mark of 91. I get what Callum said about last time. He won nicely at Newmarket, and he won cosily, I'd say, rather than emphatically. Only won by the smallest of margins, but Harry Bentley didn't really go for everything that day, and he sort of always seemed to have things under control. Last time out, he travelled into the race really nicely, and then to me, if you'd have just shown me the race and I don't know any of the horses, I'd have said, well, that one in blue is clearly a non-stayer. But he's won over further than that, so that's not the issue at all. For me, I'm hopefully putting it down to there being an underlying issue, and hopefully it's been resolved in the past 27 days. He turns up here fighting a bit. There's been a bit of money for him tonight. He opened up, I think, 14-1. He's around 10-1 now, sort of settled around 10-12-1. So we're not talking masses of money, but sort of little each way squeaks. And I'd definitely give him a strong each way shout. But Richard Hughes booked, I can see him going very, very close tomorrow. The rain was not an issue for him today. I don't think he wants too much rain, but he does handle softer ground pretty well. So for me, first flight, and I'm sure Adam's going to be really annoyed that I have stolen all of his points.
No, because I was going to make the point about Haydock over Mar where he referred to Chattez. And the ground, he handled the ground that day, because I thought you were going to say something about you had a little bit of a doubt about the ground, but the ground would be absolutely fine for him, and I give him a huge each-way chance. My likely winner, though, is one that Luke mentioned, Arab Dawn, who ran really well behind two very nice horses in Monjol and the Corsican. And the Corsican is one that I really like for next year as well. So you've bumped into two horses there that could be up to listed, possibly even group level. And I just think that he'll come on for that run, because he had a break after Royal Ascot, and on the other hoof double. Oh, we'll always remember that. 2 furlongs out, I thought it was quids in, but I think his time to strike will be tomorrow. The trip's perfect. The ground shouldn't be an issue. I think he's got a huge chance tomorrow. So the Arab Dawn as a win bet, each way would be first flight.
Yeah, I couldn't put you off for that at all. We go back up to air now for the William Hill 80th anniversary book launch, Doonside Cup, which is a listed race over 1 mile and 2 furlongs. And we were talking a bit earlier that this was a weird race. It's a whole mishmash of horses of different ones you expect. You've got the likes of Abseil, who's been contesting 7 furlong handicaps and 1 mile handicaps as well. Suddenly, he wasn't settling there. Now it's up to mile 2. Then you've got the likes of Gabriel, who's been running in the Ebor over 1 mile and 6, dropping back into it. They're slowly getting the vibe that he's not actually a stayer, which many people could have said about 4 runs ago. But it's a difficult race to sort of gauge any sort of perspective on, because you could go for a stay, you go for one that's stepping up into it. But I don't know, what sort of way are you swaying, Adam?
I haven't a clue, if I'm quite honest.
It's
being honest, because right, the best horse in the race is Sky Hunter, and if he can reproduce his form, he should be winning. But I'm not sure. I mean, and you've got Snocking Star in the race, who is a consistent, durable, is your typical Mark Johnson horse, and you get the hint, if the owners aren't there tomorrow, then he'll win. Because they weren't there at Goodwood when he won, and they tend to be there when he's not going to win. I'm interested in Abseil finally going up in trip. I didn't think that 7 furlongs was ever going to be his trip, but I can see why they tried that route eventually. It'll be interesting to see how he goes tomorrow, but I wouldn't have him for win purposes. Gabriel's finally back over the right trip, but I'm not sure. So, it's a weird race, and I'm tentatively, and I'm not going to have a bet in the race, I'm perfectly honest, I'd probably go with Snocking Star if I was to have a bet in the race.
Yeah, I have to say I completely feel exactly the same as you. It's a race even with your money I don't think I could have a bet in.
Cheers.
Yeah. I'd have been stolen money anyway, let's face it. Gabriel, I've long been of the thought, well, I say long, the last 4 runs, he's just not a stayer in this. Again, they're slowly getting the hint he's going back down in trip, but if he returns to his best form, he'd have some kind of chance in this. Abseil hasn't been settling over 7 furlongs and 1 mile, so I can't see why he'd settle over this trip unless they go on feasibly fast, in which case none of them are going to get home. Presburg would have been one that I would have been interested in. He's been in fantastic form this year, but he's a non-runner. Sanokian Star again is one that I always seem to sort of go to if I don't really fancy anything in the race. So I probably would go for Sanokian Star again, but I think, as you can tell by my tone, I don't really have any strong fancy in this race at all, and I'm kind of hoping that Callum does, because otherwise this is going to be a non-event for On The Other Hoof.
Yeah, I'm sorry, viewers. You're not going to get much from me. Well, I mean, like Adam said, the race is all about Sky Hunter. Saibin Saros won the race 3 times in the last 5 years. The horse should, if back to his best, will win this doing handstands. So he's rated 115 at his peak, but his first 2 runs for Godolphin have really not shown much, albeit first time on soft ground behind Noble Mission and Telescope, and then last time out at Newbury. Over further than this, but again he was niggled along from a real early stage in that race and just didn't look happy. First time Hood tomorrow, gelding operation, that could sort him out. Similar types that Simon Seroz won with this race, so if he can't win tomorrow, then he really is gone. So it's just, I think he will win, to be honest. I can't see. I can see him just coming back to it, something like his best, and he should be winning. If not, then Sanoki and Style pick up the pieces. He's got a good deal in hand with the rest of them in the field as well. And Absel's a horse that I thought early in the season was crying out for 10 furlongs, and then they dropped him down in trip because he wasn't settling, and it hasn't worked at all. So, I mean, he won a really good handicap despite not settling at Epsom. It's just in this sort of grade when he can get away with it, and I'm fairly sure he won't. But he's been well back, so there's been a bit of support already. So I think he'll run well, because I do think he's a classy horse, but Sky Hunter should be too good.
Yeah, I couldn't really give Absel much of a chance tomorrow, but from seeing him at Royal Ascot, he's one of the best looking horses I've seen in a long time. He really does look like a beautiful stamp of a horse. But like I say, tomorrow might be asking a bit much. I think maybe a next year horse for Absdale once he's sort of had time to mature a little bit. Back down to Newbury now for one of their feature races, the Dubai International Airport World Trophy. It's a Group 3 over 5 furlongs and 34 yards. This race surely has to revolve all around Mecca's Angel, who seems to be one of the fastest improving sprinters in the country. Gets a bit of weight from Take Cover up the top. It gets weight pretty much all round, basically, except from the Haytude, One Chance, and Online Alexander's a non-runner. But everything seems to be right for her tomorrow. She's got a ground. She has everything. Callum, surely she's a bet tomorrow?
I think it's between Mecca's Angel and Justice Day, and I think they're the two that look absolute standouts in this race. Both 3-year-olds, both really like soft ground, especially Mecca's Angel. Just the good side, the soft side of good is ideal for Mecca's Angel, and she absolutely bolted up 10 days ago at Doncaster. If she really produces that, then it should be more than good enough, because that was without doubt a stronger race than this. And with horses like Movie Star, who loves fast ground or seems to have all his best form on fast ground, I think is a massive worry tomorrow with this ground as it is. And Take Cover is very similar, goes really well on faster ground. I know I think he's won on heavy ground, or run well on heavy ground, but with a £5 penalty as well, I think he's very vulnerable. And Justice Day, who I've been waiting for quite a while, all season really, for him to contest soft ground, and he's been in my tracker all year saying he's a 110 horse when he gets soft ground over 5 or 6 furlongs, and he gets it tomorrow. I think there's a good bit of pace on with quite a few horses in the field like Graphic Guess and Haytude who like to go forward. So and Mecca's Angel as well. So if they go too quick up front, then I think he could well pick up the pieces. And it's just whether Mecca's Angel will be on form, and if she is, then I've no doubt she'll win. But I'll put up a forecast, because I can't see anything else getting involved, and I just think they're a good few pounds ahead of the rest.
Oh my word! That Luke, before Callum came to call, I said to you, I've got a forecast for this race. That's the exact same forecast that I've got for this race.
That's the On the Other Hoof net, lads.
That's the On the Other Hoof. Has to be, because when I looked at this race, I saw Mecca's Angel, I saw Justice Day, I thought, And then the rain came, and a big smile came on my face about Mecca's Angel. And then I looked again at the race, and then saw Justice Day there again, and I thought, there's a straight forecast that you can go for. And when Callum said that straight away, the first thing, big smile came on my face, because I just think those two on soft ground are far better than the rest of them. I mean, Take Cover's an honest, likeable horse, has shown really good form this year, but he doesn't really want rain. One other that you can give a mention to is the horse that I think Luke would give a mention to, in Najad, who was so unlucky at Sandown. I mean, I didn't even see him entered at Leicester the other day when he won. And the result came up, and I thought, no.
Neither did I. That is a real missed opportunity with that horse, because they could have won a lot of good handicaps off 93.
They could have even gone for the I'm trying to think. It could have gone for the silver.
They missed the Portland by 1 or 2.
Yeah.
So that's why
In,
it ran at less.
in hindsight, missing out in Portland probably wasn't the worst thing.
I think it's Portland. It was some sort of handicap that they were being aimed at, but they knew they wouldn't get in. And then it's gone and ruined that mark. So
they won. They got a penalty, and then they decided not to go. And I think the trainer wanted to go for a group race anyway. He won't mind the ground either, so you could say that could be a tri-cast. But I'd rather just stay safe. We'll go with the forecast of Mecca's Angel, who is just so impressive at Doncaster and will love the ground, and Justice Dave, who won at Haydock on similar ground earlier in the season. So, and also ruined the tri-cast actually. Sorry, Justice Dave, but the Qatar horses in here, and then Kingsgate native, who doesn't like good to soft ground or soft ground, came in and nabbed him for third on the line. So,
story of your life, isn't it? Someone getting caught on the line.
Yeah, I hate. Shut up. Don't remind me.
I'm 100% with Mecca's Angel tomorrow. I'd have been with her on faster ground if I'm perfectly honest. I don't think softer ground is too much of a necessity to her. She just likes getting a toe in a little bit. Last time, I just wanted to bring out the form of last time out at Doncaster, because as Callum said, it was probably a stronger race, if not sort of the same strength as this race today. You'd be Reckless Abandon by 2 1/4 lengths. Reckless Abandon is an ex sort of top-notch 2-year-old. Got retired, came back. Got retired to stud. Sorry, came back because infertile, and is sort of finding his way back again. And then Steps was back in third, and Steps ran a similar race as he's been running all year. Sort of get out pace, then stay on again. And if you sort of take Steps' best form, he probably didn't run to that, but sort of he was 2 lengths behind Soul Power in the King's Stand. Like, I'm not saying Mecca's Angel is as good as Soul Power, but sort of if Steps did run to form, you'd really have to be boosting up the form of the Scarborough last time out considerably, and I can't see many ways of Mecca's Angel getting beat to one. I'm glad that me and Adam backed her at 10-3 because she's about 7-4 now. I'm just very, very fearful of a few non-runners to hit the race, and then suddenly we get hit with a massive Rule 4. But yeah, I really can't see many others getting in the race. I wouldn't put you guys off Justice Day each way about sort of 8-10-1. But it's a race I think completely revolves around Mecca's Angel. But one race that doesn't revolve around one horse is the William Hill Air Gold Cup, which we're going to be covering now. Run over 6 furlongs. We've had the Bronze Cup. At this point, we will have had the Silver Cup. It's wide open. Callum, good luck.
Yeah, cheers. Yeah, it's tough. There's one that stands out to me at the price. Well, he was. Which obviously you backed for me earlier, cheers Lee. Go Far, trained by Alan Bailey. The horse has been on the go all year. I think this is his 19th or 20th run of the season, but he's really improving. He's rated about 64 when he started it, and now he's rated 90. Well, he's off 99 tomorrow. He's actually rated 101, but he only has a £5 penalty for his Wolverhampton win over Foxtrot Romeo. Before then, he beat Long Awaited. He's not beating particularly game horses here, but he's done it in good style, and he just looks a horse that's really going the right way. Last week in the Portland didn't really come right for him. He didn't get a clear run, but was nearest at the finish over 5.5. Return to 6 will really suit. Fast ground he gets, and a decent draw. He ticks a lot more boxes than the majority of them for me, but I mean, I could give 10 or 12 a chance, and it's just finding which ones really to pick out of that. And to be honest, I might even just go for the one, because I'm finding it hard to split between horses like Blaine, who I think's got a solid chance, Highlander Claim and Mass Rally. If they get the gaps, then I think again they've got to go in with real hopes. Highlander Claim with Sam James on, who's a decent £3 claimer. Watchable, the draw put me off, and the Drying Ground, who, I mean, he won a good to firm last week, but I think to be winning off 103, I think he wants softer ground over 6. Auburn Star will run his race. Eastern Impact's improving as well as a 3-year-old. And Supplicant, I know Mr. Fahy gave that a squeak the other day. And Barnet Fair I thought was a big price. I know he's won over 6 at Goodwood, and it's a sharper 6 than this. But he ran well the other day as well, and 2 weeks ago, and he should have been a little bit closer. Fast pace to get and fast ground, but it's just whether he stays 6 furlongs. But 28-1 on him looks quite big. It's an Air Gold Cup. You can give loads of them chances, but Go Far was the one that ticked the most boxes for me. So I'd have a bit of 16-1 on him, and maybe just about leave it at that.
Yeah, well, good news for you, Callan, or for us really, because I put a tenner each way on as well when you said so. Go Far is now best price 16-1 across the boards.
Well, yeah, that 28-1 earlier was
Rubies.
truly crazy. When it came up, I thought it was a typo, and then I saw that somebody was 25s as well. So I hope a few people filled their boots on that, and he goes and wins.
Yeah, 28 was Bet Victor, 25 was Stan James. In fact, I can completely see why you've gone for Go Far. It's been rapidly improving this year in the Portland last week. Again, we keep mentioning Muthmir, but I say running sixth to Muthmir is not the worst run in the world. There's a couple that I say a couple. I think there's a couple that everyone's going to like in this race. Duke of Firenze is an interesting one. I've never really been his biggest fan, but last time out at Leicester, in that Ajard race actually, I think it was first time cheek pieces and actually ran like the fire was still there and really, really actually wanted to do it. Went out in front and went way too fast. I have to say that. But if they can sort of redirect that energy into sort of positive energy and actually use his ability, then he could have a huge chance. Although 6 furlongs, I don't think is really his trip, but off a mark of 97, he could do some damage off that. And another one, Barnet Fair, who I followed this season. I didn't back last time out, but Cam Hardy takes the ride again, so they're taking 5 off, so effectively running for a mark of 91. Now, Barnet Fair actually won the Stewards Cup consolation race, which was 6. I was slowly coming around to the thought that he's better over 6 than 5, well, these days anyway. Last time out was 2 weeks ago. Richard Hughes took the ride, and they held him up last, and he never got into the race at all, finished 5th and sort of never nearer. Now, that screams a prep run, but then the only thing that puts me off for that is why would you book Richard Hughes if you're just having a prep run for this kind of race? I mean, he's in the right hands with Dandy Nichols, so at 25-1 I can see Barnet Fair going close. Of the rest, Alban Star's got a very obvious chance, and the money for him is completely understandable. Louis the Pious always seems to run his race in this kind of event. James Doyle's a notable jockey booking. Did you give a mention to Blaine, Callum?
Yeah, I gave Blaine a small mention. But yeah, going back to Barnet Fair, now that you've kind of gone for him as well, I'm kind of getting more sweet on him, on his chances. So.
That's a very dangerous thing to do, my friend.
Yeah. Well, I mean, last time the race kind of panned out away from him. I think the first 4 home were on a group on the middle side, and he was on the stand side. So, yeah, you got to give him a chance tomorrow in the form he's in.
Yeah, I just don't think he's a 5 furlong horse now either. I think he's faster.
Yeah, could have just matured, couldn't he?
Yeah, exactly. I do think he's just a horse that needs an extra furlong now. Maybe he's lost a yard of pace, but
yeah. Hopefully, I think Cam Hardy knows how to ride him as well. He's ridden him really well before, so yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that.
Yeah, Barnet Fair probably be the main sort of fancy in the race. I just can't get away from Duke of Firenze. If the ground was softer, then I'd be all over Ballesteros. And it seems weird to say that I wish the ground was softer for an Air Gold Cup, because every single year we're sort of saying, oh, I wish it was actually good ground. But no, Barnet Fair for me, a tentative selection, but there's many in the race that could foil that plan, and I'm sure Adam is going to mention one.
Probably am. Right. There's been a thing today about coming down the near side rail. However, you look at this Air Gold Cup, and there is plenty of pace on the far side as well. So if they can get to the far rail, and they can keep a pace up, I wouldn't be surprised if you could actually get a winner over there, if I'm quite honest. Because you've got Watchable who can go forward, you've got Hamza who can go forward. If Duke of Firenze and Ashpan Sam both go forward and then go for that side, you're going to have plenty of pace on there. And I would just love it if Alban Starr could finally win a big handicap. He deserves one for the year he's had. I mean, he's been placed in the Stewards Cup, he's placed in the Wokingham. I think he's got a huge chance. Apart from that, you look down the list, I mean, you've got as well, I mean, Eastern Impact caught my eye as well, but 3-year-olds don't have a good record in the race, and that's what put me off him. And it also actually put me off Heaven's Guest a year ago, and he went and ran a really good race, so... he's got a chance as well, but I just think on this ground of the 6 furlongs, you're going to take him off his feet. And I also backed York Glory last week, and he's really out of form, so I wouldn't go near him. Apart from that, I'd probably go with Alban Starr, and just the hope that they're going to go to the far side and they're going to go for the rail and go lickety split, basically.
Yeah,
Fingers
that
crossed.
Yeah, that's all we can do. We can sort of stab our pen into the paper, and again, fingers crossed. That's the racing for tomorrow on Channel 4. Done. Unfortunately, we have a few questions in, and this will be your last call. If you want to tweet us at OnTheOtherHoof, tweet your questions. Fancies will read them out now. Derek Gamblepump was the first one to tweet us earlier today. Could you do a tweet afterwards summarising the naps from the show? That's what we'll do. We will all sort of try and summarise why fancy horse in 140 characters or less.
Oh God.
Which could be harder. It could be quite hard actually. Chris Heath says, with the high draw making all the headlines, what chances do Blaine, Bogart, and Supplicant have? Obviously, Bogart is running in the Silver Cup. We did give Bogart a very strong mention. I can see him going very close. Callum, I've already reiterated what Callum said about Blaine. Supplicant, guys, I know we said
if he
Richard
comes back to form, back to form, George Chandler takes the ride, and I think George Chandler is well worth his claim. So, if he comes back to that sort of form, then yeah, but. Yeah, I don't know.
Richard Fahey put him down as his best chance in the race on his Sporting Life page, which is fairly interesting.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, it'll be interesting to see how the race pans out tomorrow. Tony Amato says, I love the hair, Adam. Callum, you know that Listowel is better than the flat.
Yeah, good one.
I think even Tony knows that that's a lie. Listowel, no offence to Listowel, I enjoy watching it, but I'd rather agree on the flat. Kieran McGinley says to Adam, what's happened to your barnet?
It fell off.
And just put some new shampoo in it and just came out like this. Tony Amato has come back and said, if the Candy Horse is as good as we think he is, then surely it's a good thing. Obviously, with an eye to Limato, I think that's sort of the points that we raised earlier on. Said if Limato is 100% fit, then there should be no beating of him tomorrow afternoon. Chris Heath back again saying, well, he's glad that we're backing up his fancy of Bogart, which no problem. It will probably lose now because Adam's actually fancy it as well. And my favourite question of the night, you may have noticed me giggling sort of towards the end of the show, was from Richard Davidek, and I'm going to direct this one to Callum. I reckon he's a fan of Hot Fuzz. It says, is it true there is a place in a man's head where if you shoot it, it will blow up?
That's a great
I did enjoy that, Richard.
That's one of the best questions I think I've ever had on the other hoof. So
yeah, that's my new favourite question.
Yeah, that's...
I'm hoping that he's actually watched and not just replied to the tweet. Richard's new task every week. Richard, you have to tweet in a question from any film, and we have to guess what film it is.
Yeah.
But that's your new role on the other hoof. You have to tweet in a question every single week.
Film related.
But Richard, that only applies to you. We don't want loads of film tweets coming in.
Oh my word! Oh dear.
Sean has tried to be funny. Private Sean has tried to be funny, and said why are circular pizzas delivered in square boxes and cut into triangles? It's because pizzas just love shapes. Like they just want to cover all bases of shapes, and that's a pun there, base. But yeah, sorry, not like that. You moron. Because Michael's not here this week, we haven't got a Naughty Luck 15 prepared. Apologies for that if you actually enjoy Michael's Naughty Luck 15.
Sean's asked another question. Out of the 4 hosts on the other hoof, who of us has the best dress sense?
Don't know. None of us.
I'm not gonna lie. It's something I haven't really ever given much thought to.
No. It's definitely not me. I can say that. Michael actually replied to that. He should be here, but he's very busy getting ready for uni. I do hope it's a no-brainer, so he's not the right answer then, obviously.
Yeah, he's not the right answer because he's not here. So it's between me and Luke. I'd have us join first. That's what we're amazing.
In fairness,
I'll give it Callum. I'd give it Callum actually.
Although I did change my shirt.
Them purple pants were shocking. Them purple pants are shocking. So there you go, Callum wins.
Why are you looking down there? In fairness, though, I did change my shirt before we came on this week, so
fair enough.
Commitment, commitment to Lou.
Yeah, you were wearing. What shirt were you wearing? A hockey jersey?
My Washington. It was a purple. It was my Washington Huskies shirt, which is the
Oh
same
my
as
word.
tracksuit bottom.
There you go.
Apologies for that. Right. Nap time. It's nap time. I'm aiming to go 4 in a row. Not bragging or anything. Caldog, your nap.
Well, every time I nap something, it just jinxes it. So, like, I really don't know what to do anymore with these stupid naps that we have to put up every stupid.
They are not
week.
stupid.
They are stupid.
I agree with him.
So, let's just jinx. Because I usually the ones that win are the ones that, because we don't cover the race and we don't mention it. Then I put one of those up. So I know you're a fan of this horse and you put it up.
No, don't you dare.
820 Wolverhampton, Elation.
You arse. You absolute arse.
In all seriousness, been crying out for a step up and trip. Gets it tomorrow. Looks a winnable race. Should handle the track and the tapered surface. So I'm quite sweet on him tomorrow.
Yeah, I am as well. He's on my blog. So, you arse. If you've jinxed that, I'm gonna kill you.
Sorry, bro.
Well, Phil Dinsdale said that I haven't won the fashion award on the other hoof. Not Luke, after what he was wearing on that horse.
There you go.
Can we class that as me being on the other hoof? Like,
Yeah.
I think it should be down to what we only wear on the other hoof.
No, because what if people meet us in person and they think, oh, you're the guys from On the Other Hoof and you're wearing that.
I'd just like to say, I didn't actually wear them out in public. Like, the schooling ground was just outside the house that I was staying in.
Yeah.
Like, it was
It
like
doesn't
20
matter.
yards.
It doesn't matter. You went out in broad daylight.
If people pop their head over the gate and seen what you were wearing, that is in public, so...
Not everyone looks over the gate all the time, Adam. Not
Yeah.
everyone's spiky people.
Not in Liverpool.
In Liverpool, let's go into the house with a I'm going to get some crap for Tony Amato about that joke. Adam, your fancy for tomorrow?
Glorious Protector in the second race, but the first race on Channel 4 at Newbury. Newmarket. Ugh. Newbury.
Yeah. Quite. I said your main fancy. That was your nap for tomorrow.
Yeah.
My nap, now it's quite boringly, is Mecca's Angel. Earlier on, when she was 10 to... Pardon me, sorry, how rude. When she was 10 to 3, that was a sort of nap to be proud of. At 7 to 4, 2 to 1, not so much, but...
Why not do
I
the
think she would-
forecast? Why not do the forecast with Justice Day?
Because I'm not as keen on it as you guys
Fair
are.
enough then. All right then.
I think that should be. Me and Adam are both keen on that. So
Listen,
that'd be
I like
nice,
it. I like it, but it's not nap material when you got Mecca's Angel is a good thing. And we all know what happens, Callum, don't we? When you try and nap something
Yeah.
and then you have something else on for the forecast.
Yeah. This time
thing
it's
was-
the other way around, not the fake.
Yeah, but this time it is the other way around, yeah. Because when we did it with Just the Park, Callum's like, we need to put something in with it because it's only a 5-run race, and we shouldn't have. Sorry, Callum.
Sorry. I'll never live that down.
No, you won't.
When he wins, when Just the Park wins the Welsh National, you'll realise 3 miles around Kempton was never going to be his cup of tea.
I told you that before.
Yeah,
No,
Video
when he
and I say,
when he wins the ID, you mean more likely.
yeah, actually, good point, yeah.
if you want the idol winner, you can read my blog. I've got a plot job in that. I gave it thought. That is all we have time for here on the other hoop this week, I'm afraid. Don't forget, if you haven't already, and there's no real reason you shouldn't have, because I've mentioned it enough times in this video, follow us on Twitter at OnTheOtherHoof, then you can converse with all of us in one place, and it doesn't get messy by tweeting so many people in the same tweet. But we look forward to you doing that, and we thank you for watching this afternoon, or this evening, sorry. Enjoy the racing today, and from all of us here at On The Other Hoof, goodbye.